everybody, this your boy Black Magus, and I don't want to be a reaction channel, but as I'm sitting here working on some stuff, I'm seeing some interesting things come up on my social media and news feed, and I just cannot ignore this one because this is an interesting story. And I just want to know what your guys' thoughts are on it, to be quite honest. So the title says BAFTA host Alan Cummings asks for understanding as Tourette syndrome campaigner John Davison shouts out strong language and slurs at winners and presenters. Now, so if you don't know what the BAFTAs are, they are the I forgot the acronym of that. It's basically a British acting and film awards show. We don't need to go into the details because I had a major brain freeze. Anyway, so think of it like the Oscars, but in England. So during the show, this guy is sitting in the crowd and he has Tourette syndromes. He has Tourette syndrome and he is shouting out random things to people in the crowd. Like a couple of people, he told them to shut the fuck up. We're yelling "fuck you" at people. Different directors, but it was especially noted that when Delroy Lindo and Michael B. Jordan came up to present an award, that he screamed out the N-word. Now, I do know Tourette's has people having certain types of tics, especially verbally. They can say all types of things, mainly curse words, stuff like that. I didn't know the N-word was one of them, but it very well could be. At the same time, I gotta ask y'all this question. And forgive me because I'm not too clear on this when it comes to stuff like Tourette's. Is it that when they're triggered, certain visuals, seeing certain things or certain types of people trigger certain types of responses, certain situations dictated? Is it something? Because I gotta tell you that was a very specific thing to scream out. In one of the particular people, he screamed out "fuck you." It was to a woman. Why did he scream out "bitch"? For instance, it's a weird thing that he would use the N-word to me in that moment. But again, I'm not totally clear, so I wanted to know what do you guys think, because I'm not going to take other people's diseases lightly. Things like that, especially with Tourette's, that got to be a horrible thing to live with. And if it was seriously just a tic, that has to be super embarrassing, especially if you're definitely not a racist, for that to be the one thing that you say to a couple of black men on stage. It was reported that he left. He wasn't asked to leave, but it was reported that he may have left because in the second half of the show, after Alan Cumming, by the way, came up and asked the crowd please, be mindful of this, and if you're offended, we apologize, but there's no intent. Tourette's is a serious thing. It is a very serious thing because, again, I can imagine living with something like that where I'm just randomly having these tics and saying things the way people are looking at you, people, you can feel isolated and alienated for something that's beyond your control. It has to be pretty hard. And he did a movie, they said, called "I Swear," which I'm curious to watch now. It has to be very, very hard to actually deal with something of that nature because I'm sure it makes a lot of people around you uncomfortable. Again, Can you imagine the air that came out the room when he said that while those two men were on stage? Um, and hey, you know how we are when that word's thrown around. We're ready to fucking fight when someone of another race calls us that. So I can't like how awkward it had to be on stage and to like swallow that. But again, going back to Davison, like the feeling that had to come over the horror when he realized what he said in the presence of those two men, like that can't be cool. Like it's I'm just curious, like what are all your thoughts on it? If you know someone with Tourette's or if you're someone with Tourette's, please let me know like your thoughts and feeling on it too, because it's got to be rough. It has to be rough. At the same time, if this was what he intended on doing, like God help that man. Um, because we've had people use things like diseases as an excuse to hide their true feelings or their true actions. I don't know about this. Like again, this is very very interesting, very very conversation worthy because I would really like to know what you guys think seriously. But anyway, as always, you guys feel free to hit me up. Let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you later. It's your boy Blak Magus, and I'm out. Deuces.